Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings. Generally like to talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be counting down our top 10 games for higher player counts. And when we're talking about higher player counts, we're generally talking about games that require or are best suited for 8 or more players. If your favourite high player count game isn't on this list, it's probably either because we haven't played it or we think it's shit. So remember, if you're new here, consider subscribing to our channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. Hit the like button and all that shit. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So number 10 on this list is a party game called Wavelength. Wavelength is essentially a guessing game. Basically, you'll be drawing a card from the stack and it will give you a spectrum of answers, like hard to do to easy to do, or for kids or for adults, and then you'll give your teammates a clue based on the spectrum that you just said, and then you'll use this really weird contraption to try and locate where your clue is on the target area. Right, your team will dial in where they think the target area is, and then you'll flip back the door on the contraption and you'll score points based on how close you are. Wavelength is a really innovative game. It's wonderful for parties and big groups because it plays up to 10 players or even more if you want to. It's one of the best party games that we've ever played, and it's highly recommended by us. That's Wavelength. That's our number 10. So number 9 on this list is a game that plays up to, hang on, I can't remember, it plays up to, well, the box says it plays up to 30 players, but I mean, we've never ever played it with that many, right? But it's 2 rooms and a boom. In this game, you'll divide yourself up into 2 teams and you'll each be given a different role card. 2 roles that are always in the game are the president and the terrorist, and you'll choose a leader of the group, and then after a certain amount of time you will exchange hostages in the center of the room or in the center of the house or wherever you're playing it, right? The idea of the game is for the terrorist to be in the same room as the president, and the other team's objective is to have the president in the other room away from the terrorist, right, so he don't get blown to shit. There maybe is a little bit too bloated with too many different roles, and it can get confusing with first time players that don't really know what to do. Once you're over that hump, 2 rooms and a boom is a really good party game for massive groups, and yeah, it's just a jolly good time to be had by all. That's our number 9. So number 8 on this list is a game that features some foam weaponry. It's Cash and Guns. There's 2 iterations of this. There's the first edition, which was a little bit convoluted, so they decided to chuck out some of the cards and make the second edition. Second edition has got some expansions that allow you to play with more players and different variants as well. First edition came with a Yakuza expansion, which added shurikens and like samurai swords and that sort of thing, right? But essentially what you'll be doing on your turn, there'll be some loot in the center of the table, and you will be playing cards that will say whether you're going to shoot at somebody or whether you're going to put your gun down, right? And then once everyone's decided what they're going to do, you'll all take your gun and you will point it at somebody, and then you'll reveal your card and it will say whether you've actually shot them or not. You'll all have an opportunity to back down and bottle it, but if you decide to stay in, then if you get shot, you take a wound, you're out of that round. But if you don't get shot, you will be able to take a portion of the loot that's on offer. This game is really funny because it's the only time when you get to actually point a gun in anger at your friends and family. So yeah, Cash and Guns plays up to 12 players, I think. If you want to get out your Uzi 9mm and stick out your mum's nose, then Cash and Guns is definitely the game for you. Number 7 on this list is a game that has seen more iterations than I've had lines of cocaine. Just kidding. This game is Werewolf. Whether you're playing Ultimate Werewolf, Traditional Werewolf, or the One Night Ultimate Werewolf, or all the different types of werewolf, or God knows whatever types of werewolf there are, this game is really good for massive groups because I think it plays up to like 90 players or something. In the original Werewolf, you did need to have a moderator that would go around and take control of the game, but now you've got One Night Ultimate Werewolf where an app takes over that role, right? In Werewolf, what you'll be doing, you'll each be assigned a role and you'll essentially be trying to avoid the werewolves or expose the werewolves, right? It doesn't really matter which werewolf game you play because they're all roughly the same, but we prefer the One Night Ultimate Werewolf because it does away with that moderator and you can use an iPad or your phone to do that for you. There's loads and loads of accusations flying around. You'll be pointing fingers, you'll be planting bombs under people's dining chairs, and the game doesn't last that long. Well, if you're playing the One Night Ultimate Werewolf. So yeah, if you're looking for a game that accommodates an astronomical amount of people, if you're one of those socialites that has loads and loads of friends, then this is going to be right up your back alley. So next game on this list, this is number 6, is a game that allows you to be Nigel Mansell or Damon Hill. Millennials are scratching their heads thinking who the fuck is that? But this game is Formula D. This is also the only game where you can race a fucking ambulance. Formula D is a roll and move game. Yes, I know it's a bloody roll and move game, but the difference with this is that you'll be able to change up and down gears and roll a different die for each gear, right? You'll also have to make sure that you stop a certain number of times at the corners, and it's just a case of the first person to cross the finish line will be the winner, right? Formula D comes on these massive maps. There's loads and loads of different maps available, whether it be for the old edition Formula D, the French game, or the new Asmodee version. And even though it's roll and move, it's always a bloody good laugh, right? So yeah, Formula D plays up to 10 people, and even though it's roll and move, it's definitely one of the best racing games that we've ever played, right? So number 5 on this list is a game that not many people have actually played or heard of. It's a game called Blocky Mountains. This is a game that utilises blocks and rope, and it sounds really weird. You'll use a scenario book to set up a different course, and then you'll take the explorer, the provisions disc, and the bear, and you will have to get from point A to point B by lifting up the explorer or knocking the provisions or dragging the bear over and through all these different types of terrain. There's so many expansions for this. We've got the scenario book, we've got the slide expansion. It's absolutely fantastic. It plays up to 7 players. It's one of the best dexterity games that you can get, and if you can track it down, this is an absolutely fantastic game. It goes real quick, higher player counts as well. And if you like dexterity games, Blocky Mountains is a no-brainer. So number 4 on this list is a game that plays up to 10 players. It's ladies and gentlemen. In this game, you will split off into 2 different roles. You've got the ladies and the gentlemen. The first portion of the game is the gentlemen will be off at the stock exchange trying to rip off their workers to get dividends, to make money, right? And at the same time, the ladies will be at the boutique buying dresses in the hope that they'll have enough dosh at the end of the day to buy these sweatshop made garments. Once everyone's done that, you'll come back together, and the ladies will have bought dresses, the gentlemen would have made some money, and then you'll have to pay off the bills, right? The gentlemen will inspect what ladies have bought, and they'll either tell the lady to put it back on the rail and bugger off, or they will buy the garment. At the end of the 6th round, you will then have the ball where you'll total up all the points. The ladies will add up all the elegance points they got from their cards, and the person with the most points will be the winner of the game, right? This game has been criticised by some dumbos for being a bit sexist, but what these twats don't understand is that this game is actually poking fun at the ridiculousness of the stereotypical roles that are portrayed in society, right? So for that reason alone, this game is worth a punt. And if you're not interested in any of that snowflake crap, then this game is also a ton of fun, right? There's this weird, chaotic conflict going on between the ladies and the gentlemen, sort of like real life, innit? But yeah, if you can get 10 players together with this, then you are going to have an absolute blast, messing about, trying to save money, but also blow as much money as possible. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, an absolutely fantastic, sort of hard to come by, high player count game. Right. Next game on this list is a game that has been referred to as the best shouting game ever made. It's Panic on Wall Street. In this game, you will split yourselves into 2 different roles. You've got the investors and the managers. The role of each person is to make as much dosh as possible, right? You'll do this by investors buying stock from the managers. The managers want to sell the stock for as much as possible. The investors want to buy it for as little as possible. The thing about this game is once you have done all the negotiation and bought the stock, then the market will be subject to different fluctuations. So you might end up buying some stock that tanks real bad, or you might end up buying stock where the value inflates. It's a very, very skillful negotiation game. Not only do you need to have a very big gob, but you also have to be very astute and mindful about the way that the market works, right? It's one of the best high player count games that you can get. I'm not sure if it's still in print. You might have to dig deep to find this one, but Panic on Wall Street is definitely, without doubt, one of the best shouty games ever made. So number 2 on this list is a dexterity game that's made out of wood. It's Pitch Car. In this game, you will be constructing a track out of different bits of MDF. You'll put them together like a jigsaw, and you'll be creating a track, and then you'll stick your disc on the track and you'll flick it, and the winner will be the first person to cross the finish line after a certain amount of designated laps, right? There are a few rules. If the disc falls off the track or if it flips over or whatever, fuck all that shit. You can, if you want to, create the entire Formula 1 season if you've got enough bits and pieces, right? And if you've got 2 sets, this plays up to 16 players. Imagine that. Every year we still celebrate Tabletop Day, even though it's not really a thing anymore. And we always set up a massive pitch car track, and we have everybody come around and play this game together, right? Pitch Car is one of the best dexterity games out there. A little bit expensive, but it's absolutely worth it. It's a game that you'll be playing again and again and again. And if you're looking for a dexterity game that caters for huge amounts of people and it's always fun and it's got a modular track, so it's never ever going to get old, then Pitch Car is without doubt a no-brainer. Don't be a twat. So number 1 on this list, and our favourite high player count game, is Memoir 44 Overlord. Basically, in Memoir 44 Overlord, you're going to be playing with 4 players on one side and 4 on the other side. You'll be going off against each other on these huge double board scenarios. There's lots of ways to play this. You can either stick 2 boards together and construct the scenario yourself out of tiles that you get in the base game and the expansions, or you can do what I do because I'm a lazy bastard, and you can get some of the battle maps. There's loads of battle maps available. There's a Sword of Stalingrad, there's the Tigers in the Snow, Disaster at Dieppe, Hedgerow Hell. The thing about the maps is that all of the terrain tiles are pre-printed on the map, and all you got to do is stick the units down, right? The way this works is you'll use a custom deck of cards. There'll be a central commander who will be issuing orders to the field generals who will be sat in front of them, right? The trick about this is that on your turn, the commander can only speak to one of the field generals. The other 2 are sort of subject to the fog of war. They don't really know what's going on. So you'll be trying to complete these scenarios by getting different number of medals, right? Memoir 44 Overlord is without doubt our favourite high player count game. It really does feel like that you are locking horns in battle. Some people criticise it for being a little bit too random because it is dice based, but I don't give a shit. If you like Memoir 44 and you do have at least 7 friends or people that you can call friends, then invite them round and play this game, because you will have an absolute whale of a time, no doubt about it. So there you go, that's our top 10 high player count games. Remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. Hit that like button and all that shit. We'll see you next time.